After refusing to fund my daughter-in-law's lavish trip, I received a shocking slap that revealed the fractures lurking within our family. Tom sat at the head of the dinner table, the familiar scent of his wife's homemade pot roast filling the air, a comforting reminder of simpler times. Laughter echoed softly, but the atmosphere was pregnant with unspoken words. Emily, his son Jonah's wife, innocently asked about a trip to Europe, her eyes alive with excitement. She painted a vibrant picture of cobblestone streets and ancient architecture. It sounded beautiful, but something churned in Tom's gut. This wasn't what his hard work built. Tom, I really want to go, Emily pleaded, her voice almost a whisper. He felt her dreams hanging over the table like a weight. But in his heart, he believed nothing worthwhile came without hard work. We can't just have everything handed to us, Emily, he replied firmly, hoping to convey a message of responsibility, but the tension snapped like a taut wire. Emily's face colored, and before he knew it, her hand flew across the table, and the loud slap echoed in shockwaves through the dining room. Silence fell like a heavy curtain, drowning them in disbelief. Tom's chest tightened. Anger and hurt twisted within him, surfacing memories of his sacrifices and sweat-stained days on the construction site. Had he raised a son who'd marry someone so entitled? Instantly, Jonah's expression shifted, morphing from shock to confusion. He glanced from Emily to Tom, sheer panic written on his face. What just happened? He stammered, trying to find his footing in the rising tension. But Tom wasn't ready to buckle. The shock rose like a tide, washing over and leaving only tension in its wake. Emily's cheeks were flushed with shame, but there was fire in her eyes. I just want a taste of something better, she yelled, hurt lacing her voice, revealing the pain of a past that twisted around her heart like a vine, an upbringing where dreams were crowded out by struggles. It was a moment that felt like it lasted forever. Tom's world came crashing down as the fragments of his self-reliant values slashed through familial bonds. You don't understand what it means to work for something, Emily, he barked back, unaware that each word fueled the fire of resentment between them. Weeks passed, but the silence at their gatherings was a ghost haunting, heavy, unresolved. Tom found himself stewing, the weight of his beliefs clashing against Jonah's loyalty to his wife's dreams. Emily's aspirations gnawed at him like a relentless force, and gradually, Jonah learned the depths of her childhood struggles, the dreams of travel stemming from a desire to escape the chains of poverty. It carved a hollow in his heart, reshaping his loyalty with a splintered truth. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Just as Tom began to ponder the possibility that perhaps his values had rigidly engraved on his skin, a flicker of hope ignited within him. A construction project was on the horizon, one that promised to mend not only the physical structures in town, but different fabric of their lives. Could this be a moment for growth? As family gathered once more, the stage was set for revelations about love, responsibility, and what it really meant to dream together. Would Tom's heart soften enough to bridge the yawning chasm between their lives, or would the rift deepen, turning hopes into distant echoes? The gathering felt different that evening. The plates clattered, but the tension hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Tom surveyed the table, noticing how the usual warmth had been replaced by an awkwardness that set everyone on edge. Jonah sat with Emily, his eyes darting nervously between her and his father. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about understanding, about dreams and struggles that were too real to ignore. What's on the agenda tonight? Jonah's attempt at normalcy wobbled under the weight of his worry. Tom shrugged, feeling more like a stranger in his own home. Just another busy week ahead, he murmured, his gaze resting on the crumbling bread. He couldn't shake the troubling thought that everything was unraveling, and he was the one holding the thread. It was Emily who broke the silence. I don't want to hang in limbo waiting for you to come around, Tom. Her voice, once so buoyant with dreams, now trembled with frustration. Each word cut deeper than a knife. I want us to talk about what really matters. Like traveling the world with my money? Tom shot back, the words practically spilling from his lips before he could reel them in. He regretted it instantly. The hurt in her eyes made him feel like he was standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down at the chaos below.
No,
She cried, her voice rising in defiance. Like what our future looks like. Like what it means to really live. The fire sparked in her again, and for a moment, he saw her not as the girl trying to outrun reality, but as someone fighting for her place in the family. Jonah leaned forward, visibly torn. Dad, maybe you should listen to her? Tom interrupted, the heat of familial loyalty igniting the bitterness. What about all the work I've done to build this family? To give you two a foundation? But those words fell flat, swallowed by the tension that now suffocated the room. Emily folded her arms, battling the tears threatening to spill over. You think I'm just some spoiled brat? You don't see my fight? I grew up not knowing if we'd make rent. I just want a chance to be more than what I grew up with. Tom's heart sank. Suddenly, her dreams felt less like entitlement and more like a lifeline. He hadn't realized how tightly he'd wrapped himself in his own ideals, neglecting the different battles his family was fighting. An uncomfortable silence enveloped them, punctuated only by Jonah's deep sigh. Dad, I need you to open your eyes. Open my eyes? Tom whispered, feeling the walls around his heart begin to crack. You don't even know what you're asking of me. But they both did. The conversation had shifted from accusations to truths painful but necessary. Perhaps this project could serve as a bridge toward healing. I'm trying to understand, Emily, he finally said, voice hoarse. But change is hard for me. Emily leaned back, a flicker of hope igniting beneath the hurt. We can all change. But it requires more than just words. We need to feel seen and understood. Jonah reached for her hand, a quiet promise in the space between them. Tom felt the rush of emotion, the desire to be that father and grandfather who could lead them all into this new territory. But could he truly shift his perspective? As the night wound down, Tom faced the uneasy prospect of coming to terms with what it meant to be a father in a world that demanded evolution. He glanced at them both, his family, his heart, and wondered if the urge to hold tight to the old ways was worth the risk of losing them entirely. Tomorrow's start of the construction project, right? Jonah said, trying to steer things back to a more positive note. Tom nodded, but the weight on his heart was still there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time we built something new. But just as he was about to say more, the sound of a cell phone buzzing filled the room. Jonah fished it out of his pocket, and his expression shifted to one of shock. Emily, your mom, she's in the hospital. She just called. The air turned icy, and Tom's stomach dropped. Suddenly, the future looked very different.
Would they
be ready to face it together? Tom's heart raced. The words echoed in his mind, chillingly real. The clatter of dishes faded into silence as the news sank in. He looked at Emily, her face paling in an instant, as if someone had snuffed out the light in her eyes. What do you mean? Is she okay? Her voice shook, and the tears she had fought earlier were now breaking free. Jonah's grip tightened around her hand, a shield against the storm coming their way. I don't know, Jonah said, his voice strained, but she said it serious.
We need to go now.
The urgency of the moment sliced through Tom's lingering frustrations. He felt a rushing wave panic, mixed with determination. He pushed his chair back, the sound jolting him into action. Let us hurry, he said, scanning the table as if looking for an anchor. We can't waste any time. As they rushed out the door, Tom couldn't help but glance back at the remnants of their meal, remnants of unresolved words that lingered in the air. He felt like he was leaving behind more than just dinner. He was leaving behind pieces of himself that had resisted change. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Emily's breath quickened as she sat in the back seat, whispering reassurances. partly to Jonah and partly to herself. Tom fought to focus on the road, wrestling with a torrent of thoughts. What if something happened to his wife? Would he ever be able to talk to Emily again? As they arrived at the hospital, the stark fluorescent lights felt harsh. The sterile scent of antiseptic stung his nostrils. Tom's chest tightened with worry. "You both wait here," he instructed as they rushed through the sliding doors. "I'll find a nurse." He pressed through the crowd, his heart pounding louder in his ears with each step. The waiting room felt like a pressure cooker, mothers with sick children, hushed conversations, and muffled sobs surrounding him. After what felt like hours, a nurse finally emerged from the back. The smile on her face didn't reach her eyes. "Are you family of Lisa Green?" "Yes."
How is she?
Tom's voice cracked under the weight of his fear. "She's stable now, but she suffered a mild heart attack. We'll need to monitor her closely. You can see her briefly." Tom felt a wave of relief at the word stable, but worry clawed at him. He gestured for Jonah and Emily to come forward. Inside the room, Lisa lay on the hospital bed, looking so vulnerable. The sight of her frail form sent a jolt of reality through him. Memories flooded back: her laughter, her warmth, the sound of her voice calling for him. "Mom?" Emily's voice was barely above a whisper as she stepped forward, tears streaming down her cheeks.
"Sweetheart?"
Lisa's voice was weak, but filled with love. "I'm fine. I just need a little rest."
"You all need to stop worrying."
But as Tom watched that familiar smile flicker, he felt a heavy weight pressing down on him. It was as if everything that had been left unsaid, the fights, the misunderstandings, suddenly demanded to be addressed. They gathered around her bed, and for a moment, the space felt filled with possibility. They had a chance to start fresh, to lay down their burdens and face the future together. As they exchanged words of support, Tom's heart tightened. He wanted to tell them he was sorry, that he realized how much he had to learn. But all that came out was a shaky, "We'll get through this together." Yet, deep in his heart, he knew that facing their struggles wouldn't be easy. Not after the years of unspoken words and dreams deferred. As night enveloped the hospital, they settled into a fragile unity, but Tom's thoughts lingered on their earlier arguments. The fracture in their family had just grazed a deeper wound that, once healed, might leave them stronger. Could they rebuild from this? And if so, what would the future truly look like for all of them? The vision of that new foundation was blurred, but Tom realized it was worth the fight. He just hoped they would be ready for the challenges ahead when the sun rose again. The hours crawled by in the hospital room, filled with quiet conversations and the distant sound of medical equipment beeping. The atmosphere, once thick with fear, began to shift. Tom felt the warmth of Emily's hand in his. It reminded him of how much he missed just holding on to her, to both of them. "Mom, you scared us." Emily's voice broke the silence, her eyes flashing with mixed emotions: relief, love, and an undercurrent of worry. "You need to take better care of yourself." Lisa chuckled softly, a sound like fragile glass. "I know, sweetheart. I promise I'll take it easy after this." The hope lingered in the air, but so did the weight of truth. Tom sat back, observing them, feeling their connection pulse with each shared moment. He wished it could soothe the uncertainty swirling in his mind, but as clock hands ticked away, Tom's thoughts wandered to their earlier reflections, those silences, filled with words left unsaid. Each unresolved issue swirled around him now, as palpable as the antiseptic smell saturating the room. "Lisa," Tom finally mustered, glancing nervously at Emily before turning back to his wife. "I've been thinking about us." He hesitated. His heart raced once more, but when he met Lisa's gentle gaze, he pushed on. "We have to talk. About everything." Emily shifted, her expression cautious. "Dad, maybe no." He interrupted gently. "This isn't just for me. It's for all of us." Lisa frowned slightly, the fatigue layering her features. "What's weighing on you, Tom?" He took a breath, a burden lifting slightly off his chest as he spoke. "It's about the things we don't say, the arguments we have. I realize how much I've focused on the wrong things instead of being present." I took for granted that you'd always be here.
I can't keep going like that.
Tears shimmered in Emily's eyes again.
You don't have to go through this alone, Dad.
We need to be more honest. We've been tiptoeing around issues for ages. It only pushed us further apart. I see that now, Tom said, his voice low but firm. It's like I let fear build a wall between us. I need to break it down.
We all do.
Lisa's brow relaxed, and she squeezed Emily's hand. Fear can make us act in ways we later regret. It's hard to speak openly, to admit when we're wrong, or just scared. But we can fix this together. Their eyes locked, a silent agreement forming. It was a moment ripe with potential for growth. They could reshape their future, but doing so would require courage and acknowledgement that healing wasn't simply going to come from this incident, but from committing to change. Just then, the door creaked open, revealing a familiar figure. Jack, Tom's older brother and Lisa's firstborn, stood in the doorway, his expression caught in uncertainty. A wave of relief washed over Tom, but he could see the shadow of worry etched in Jack's features. What happened? Jack asked, stepping into the room. Tom's chest tightened again. This was the beginning of the conversation they had put off. It wouldn't be easy. Lisa's eyes lit up, but she looked tired. Just a little scare, honey. We're okay. But as Tom opened his mouth to share more, a sudden urgency stirred within him. This isn't just about Mom. There's something we all need to face. What lay ahead felt uncharted, teetering between fear and hope. Could they truly confront everything they'd avoided? Tom felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. The conversation would undoubtedly lead to revelations that could tear them apart or bind them closer together. As Jack leaned against the wall, a sense of impending change crackled in the air. Would they have the strength to face the truths lurking behind closed doors? And what crushing realizations awaited them when they finally opened that floodgate? The tension in the room was palpable as Jack crossed the threshold. He looked from Tom to Lisa, the hint of worry etching deeper lines on his face. It felt as though all the air had been sucked out, leaving them suspended in this moment, hearts racing in uncertainty. Tom? Jack's voice broke through, a gentle prodding, but it hinted at an urgency. What do you mean? Tom swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his brother's gaze. Jack had always been the protector, the one who held the family together in ways they didn't always acknowledge. This was no time for half measures. It's about everything, Tom said, unsure of how to put words to the storm swirling inside him. We've let things slide for too long. I've let my fears keep me from fully being here for both of you, and I can't do that anymore. Emily brushed a tear from her cheek, and Tom could see the tender vulnerability in Jack's eyes as he stepped closer. You mean the arguments? The misunderstandings? What's really going on? Yeah, Tom replied, his heart thumping loudly. We've been avoiding it. I've been focusing on work, on the small battles instead of us the family. And all it's done is push us further away. Lisa nodded, her expression softening. Tom, I know we've all contributed to this disconnect. I should have spoken up more about my needs, my fears. But what about you, Jack? You've been distant too. Jack shifted uncomfortably, clearly aware of the truth behind his mother's words. Yeah, I guess I've been wrapped up in my own life. Didn't he realize how much these things were weighing down on all of us? I thought if I didn't poke the bear, things would settle. But look where we are now. Tom's throat tightened. Each revealed truth felt like a thread unraveling the tightly woven fabric of their family. We have to start being open with each other. Speak the words we've held back. There's a lot of love in this room, but it feels like it's hidden under all this baggage. A moment of silence enveloped them, charged with honesty and raw emotion. Emily looked at her parents, then at Jack. Can we do that? Can we really be honest with each other? I think we have to, Tom said firmly, drawing strength from the sincerity in his children's faces. If we keep going like this, we'll drift even further apart. We don't want that. Fingers intertwined tightly, Jack finally broke through the unspoken barrier. It's hard for me to admit this, but I've been so focused on being strong for everyone else. I forgot to be strong for myself. I didn't want to share my struggles, and in doing so, I pushed you all away. Lisa squeezed his hand, her eyes glistening with a mix of pride and sorrow. You don't always have to wear a brave face, Jack. We're family. We're in this together. So please, tell us what's on your mind. The hospital room felt alive now, crackling with emotions long overdue for expression. Tom couldn't shake the risk. They all faced the possibility of uncovering painful truths that could tear them apart. But something also told him it could heal wounds deeper than anything they had imagined. As Jack took a deep breath, the gravity of the moment hung in the air. Tom could feel a nervous excitement surging through him. Okay, here goes nothing. Jack started, and the air pulsed with the anticipation of what might come next. What would Jack reveal? Would it shatter their fragile unity or spark a much-needed transformation? Tom tightened his grip on Emily's hand, his heart racing as they braced for the unveiling of secrets that could finally set them all free. Jack took a moment, his gaze drifting to the window where the sun cast a warm glow across the room. It felt like the world outside was oblivious to the storm brewing within. He could feel his heart pounding harder, each thump echoing the weight of what he was about to say. Okay, I've been scared, he said finally, his voice unsteady. Scared that if I admit my struggles, I'll let you both down. I don't want to seem weak. I thought I was protecting us by keeping it all in. Lisa's hand gripped Jack's tighter, her eyes wide with concern. What do you mean? What have you been scared of? He swallowed again, searching for clarity among his swirling thoughts. After Dad, after everything, I felt like I had to step into that role, Be the strong one. But I started to believe that if I showed any vulnerability, everything might collapse. I convinced myself that being a good brother meant not sharing my own burdens. Tears began welling up in Emily's eyes. She glanced at Tom, who was trying to process what Jack was saying. We're all scared, Jack. But you need to know that sharing your feelings won't make you weak. It makes you real. It connects us, makes us stronger together. Jack nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. Maybe they were ready for this. Maybe they could bear each other's burdens and truly support one another. All right, I guess I have to let it out, Jack continued, his breath shaky but determined. The truth is, I've been feeling overwhelmed about work, about life. It's been lonely being the one who holds it all together. I can't remember the last time I felt genuinely happy. And it scares me that I'm losing myself. Lisa's tears slipped quietly as she listened, heart heavy. Why didn't you tell us? She asked softly, her voice breaking. We could have helped. Because I thought I could handle it, he replied, his voice thick with emotion. I didn't want to burden you. That's why I backed away when things got tough. Tom shifted closer, holding Emily's hand with one of his while inviting Jack into their circle. The three of them, connected as a family, forming a fortress of love against the shadows that had clouded their hearts. What if we found a way to bear those burdens together? Tom asked, his eyes shining with a mix of understanding and determination. It's hard to be the one who carries everything alone. You don't have to hide from us, Jack. Silence enveloped the room again, but this time it was different. Charged with possibilities, it felt less like a weight and more like a release. They were all searching for a way forward. Jack's smile broke through the heaviness as he felt something shift within him. Okay, I'm in. I don't want to feel like this anymore. But can we promise to stop hiding from each other? Yes, Emily said, her voice rising with enthusiasm. Let us promise to communicate, no matter how hard it gets. They nodded in unison, a pact of understanding among them. Suddenly, Jack's phone buzzed loudly, snapping them back into reality. He fumbled to check it, his heart sinking as he read the message. Guys, it's Mom, he said, his voice suddenly hollow. She's not doing well. Tom's grip tightened on Emily's hand, fear flashing in his eyes. What do you mean? Is she okay? As Jack read further, a sense of dread began to settle into the room. She needs us. She's asking for help. It's serious. The lightness of their earlier moment vanished, replaced by an urgent concern that swept over them like a chilling wave. They were just starting to find their footing, and now they faced another unforeseen challenge. What if we can't fix this? Emily whispered, panic creeping into her voice. Tom and Jack shared a glance, a silent understanding bouncing between them. Amidst their own struggles, they were about to face the toughest test yet, the fragility of life itself. Could they find the strength as a family to be there for their mother, knowing it might pull them apart again? Jack stared at his phone, the gravity of the message sinking in. It felt like a punch to the gut. His mind raced as he processed the words. His mother had always been the rock of their family, the one who held everything together. The thought of her needing help sent a wave of nausea through him. "We need to go to her," he said, urgency creeping into his voice. "She can't face this alone." Emily wiped her tears, her fear shifting into a fierce determination. "Let us pack some things. We can leave right now. Mom needs us." Tom nodded, but his expression was troubled. "What if it's worse than we think? What if we're not enough?" "None of us are ever enough alone," Jack replied, surprising himself a little. "But together we can try. That's what we promised, right? To support each other?" They wasted no time, gathering essentials and comforting each other with reassurances. Lisa took charge, her chaotic energy helping to dial down the tension. "We should stop for groceries. The fridge at Mom's is probably empty. We'll cook her favorite soup." "Good idea," Emily said, her eyes lighting up with a hint of nostalgic warmth. "She always loves when we cook together." As they piled into Tom's car, Jack's mind spiraled. Was their mother really okay? What if this was it? What if he had waited too long to be there for her? He leaned back against the seat, and as the trees blurred past outside, he could almost see his mother sitting at the kitchen table, her laughter rolling like waves filling up their home. It was an image he wanted to hold on to, but uncertainty gnawed at him. "Hey," Lisa said, her voice reaching him through the void. "We've got this. No matter what happens." He turned to look at her, seeing the faith shining in her eyes. "How can you be so sure?" "Because we're all in this together, remember?" she replied, squeezing his hand. "You showed us today that it's okay to be vulnerable. That's strength, Jack. Isn't that what you want for her too?" A slow smile crept onto his face, a feeling of gratitude washing over him. She was right. They had committed to being there for each other, even when they felt scared and uncertain. He was grateful for this newfound connection, this passionate resolve to stand together against whatever storm lay ahead. By the time they arrived at their mother's house, the sun had dipped low in the sky, casting a muted orange glow on the porch. Jack felt his heart hammering in his chest as he parked the car. The familiar sight stirred memories: home-cooked meals, holiday laughter, love that felt boundless. As the four of them stepped onto the porch, a heavy silence enveloped them. Jack hesitated at the door, a panic surging through him like a tide. What if she didn't recognize them? What if they weren't enough to ease her pain? "Let us do this," Tom said, placing a hand on Jack's back. "Together." He nodded, finally gaining the courage he needed. Just as he was about to knock, the door creaked open. Their mother stood there, looking fragile yet fiercely determined, her eyes wide with surprise. "Jack, is that you?" she whispered. It was the question that launched 1,000 emotions in the room, and for a moment, everything felt suspended. But then another wave of urgency crashed against them as they stepped inside. What lay ahead would test their strength like never before. The question now hung heavy like a dark cloud waiting to burst. Would they find a way to heal or risk losing everything they held dear? Jack stepped inside, the familiar scent of home a bittersweet reminder of happier times. The living room was dim, the curtains drawn, shadows clinging to the corners like remnants of an unspoken sadness. His mother's gaze flickered from him to the others, her surprise quickly shifting to concern as she took in the sight of her children. "Mom, we got your message," Emily said, breaking the silence. "We're here for you." I didn't want to worry you all," she replied, her voice trembling ever so slightly. She stepped back, inviting them in, and the heaviness in the air seemed to thicken around them. Jack's heart raced as he scanned the room. The framed family pictures that usually brought joy now seemed more like reminders of the distance that had grown between them. There was a void where laughter should be an absence that swallowed every sound. "Let us start with some soup. I know how much you love it," Lisa said, moving towards the kitchen. The hope in her voice was a lifeline thrown into troubled waters. Jack followed quietly, wishing he could erase the uncertainty in his mother's eyes. As they began to work together, stirring the pot and cutting vegetables, Jack felt the warmth of togetherness seep back into the room. It was comforting, like wrapping an old quilt around his shoulders. Still, a nagging worry gripped him. Would it be enough? "Tell us what's been happening," Tom urged gently. He leaned against the counter, his arms crossed, trying to convey steadiness and support. Their mother took a deep breath, her eyes welling up with tears. "I didn't want to burden you. I thought I could handle it myself, Mom. We're your family," Jack said softly, stepping closer. "You don't have to handle everything alone. We want to help." She looked at him, vulnerability etched on her face. I thought I could manage. I didn't want you to see me like this."
Like what?
Emily asked, her brow furrowed. "You're still our strong mom, but it's okay to lean on us, too. We want to support you." A single tear slipped down their mother's cheek, and in that small moment, something shifted in the room. It was as if the weight of her silence had started to lift, allowing the light back in. "I've been feeling lost," she admitted. "It's as if the life I built is slipping away." Jack felt the ache in his chest deepen, the words hitting him hard. It dawned on him that they had all carried their own burdens, wearing their grief like a mask. This was not just about her. It was about all of them facing the reality they had long avoided. "Mom," Jack said, his voice steady. "Whatever it takes, we'll face it together. You don't have to go through this alone. We'll navigate this storm as a family." As the soup bubbled on the stove, he searched for ways to ease her pain, to transform the fear into hope. He thought of all the support they had shown each other over the years, how they had been there to celebrate victories and lift one another from the ashes of despair. She raised her hand, brushing it through the air like she was shaking off the chains of solitude. "I've missed you all. I miss how it used to be." In that moment, Jack knew they had a chance. They could rebuild what had been broken, but it would require more than soup and kind words. It would take honest conversations, deep heartache, and an unveiling of truths buried beneath the surface. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the living room. Jack's heart dropped as they all turned toward the noise.
What was that?
His mother gasped, her voice strained with concern. A feeling of unease washed over the four of them. A storm was brewing, but this time it wasn't just about their mother's pain. What awaited them downstairs could change everything they thought they understood about their family. As Jack approached the living room, the realization struck him like lightning. Sometimes, healing meant confronting the unseen demons lurking in the shadows. What they would discover might either tear them apart or finally bring them together. Would they be ready for the truth? Jack took a breath, steadying himself against the weight of uncertainty as he stepped into the living room. The space was a blend of warm memories and unsettling chaos. The coffee table lay overturned, its contents a stack of magazines and a framed photo scattered across the floor like discarded thoughts. For a heartbeat, he was frozen, the air thick with tension. "Everybody stay together," he urged, glancing back at his family. Their eyes mirrored his concern, a shared sense of trepidation binding them as they edged further into the disarray. "Is anyone here?" Emily called out, her voice echoing softly against the walls, swallowed by the silence only moments before the crash. They listened, hearts racing, waiting for an answer, feeling the weight of the unspoken question hover over them like an unwelcome guest. From the hallway, a muffled sound caught their attention. Jack turned, pushing past the remnants of what was once a welcoming room. He felt an instinctive pull, a mixture of fear and curiosity igniting within. "Let us check it out," he decided, gesturing for his siblings to follow. As they stepped into the dimly lit corridor, a sliver of light spilled from the open door at the end, revealing shadows shifting against the wall. Jack's pulse quickened. Was it just the wind? Or was it something more? He pressed his hand against the doorframe and peeked inside. The sight before him was jarring. Their mother sat on the edge of her bed, her hands trembling as she clutched an old box, memories spilling out like secrets long kept hidden. "What's going on?" he asked gently, knowing the answer wasn't going to be easy. Her eyes darted up, wide with surprise and something else, fear? Regret? "I was just looking for something," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mom, you don't have to hide from us," Lisa said softly, stepping forward. "We want to help." "What's in there?" Their mother hesitated, the box held tightly to her chest, as if it was the only thing keeping her anchored. "It's just some things I wanted to keep private," she confessed, but Jack could sense the turmoil bubbling beneath her skin. "Mom," Jack said, kneeling so that he was at eye level with her. "We're here for you. Whatever you're dealing with, we can face it together." His words hung in the air, a lifeline tethering her to the present moment. Slowly, she unlatched the box, revealing letters, photographs, and what appeared to be an old diary. Each item felt heavy with untold stories, a tapestry of her life that had woven itself into their family's fabric. Watching her flick through the items, Jack's chest tightened. This wasn't just about old memories, this was proof of a life so full yet so scattered. He could see fragments of joy mixed with solitude, happiness entangled with longing. "These are parts of you that matter," he said softly. "You don't have to keep them locked away." A tear slipped down her cheek, carving a path through the dust of forgotten years. "I didn't want to burden you with my past," she finally admitted, her voice quivering. "But it's like it's been haunting me. I don't know how to let it go." Jack felt a surge of emotion. "We all have things we carry. It's time to let them out," he urged, his heart racing with a new sense of urgency. The atmosphere shifted from confusion to understanding. A shared vulnerability enveloped them. Jack's eyes flicked from his mother to the box, and he realized that revealing the past could be a key to unlocking their future. But just then, another loud noise echoed from the other room, different from the first, a sharp crack like thunder, igniting a fresh wave of panic.
"What now?"
Tom exclaimed, his voice cracking with anxiety. "Let us check it out," Jack said, his instincts kicking in again. Facing the unknown felt daunting, but he also knew they could not retreat. Something deeper awaited them, and Jack was determined to uncover whatever it was. Together they would dig into the truths that lay before them, even if they had to confront the shadows lurking just out of sight. "Whatever is out there, we'll face it as a family," he said, steeling himself as they dashed towards the noise, uncertain yet defiantly hopeful. Was this the moment they would find clarity or more questions? Only time would tell. As the four of them rushed towards the source of the sudden noise, Jack's heart pounded harder than ever. The sense of urgency wrapped around them like a thick fog, but there was also something else, a flicker of determination igniting within him. They were united in this moment, ready to pen a new chapter together. They reached the living room, and it was an unexpected sight. The shelf that held family photo frames had toppled, sending cherished memories scattering across the floor. The photos of birthdays, holidays, and laughter were now mixed with the clutter of the fallen shelf. "What happened?" Emily breathed. For a moment, they stood, frozen, taking in the scene. The mess mirrored the remnants of their own lives, fractured, yet filled with love. "It just fell," their mother said, a hint of frustration surfacing as she knelt to gather the photographs. As she did, Jack stepped forward, crouching beside her. "Mom, let us help," he said gently, reaching for a photo of the four of them at a summer picnic, sun-drenched smiles bright. "Remember this day?" She looked at it, the corners of her mouth beginning to lift even amidst the chaos. "The barbecue in the backyard," her voice cracked slightly, recalling the joy of those moments. The warmth of nostalgia filled the air, wrapping them in layers of shared experiences. "I feel like we've let so much change without talking about it," Jack said as he helped place the photos back on the shelf. "We've all been carrying our burdens without realizing that sharing them might lighten the load." Emily began picking up scattered papers, finding a long-lost drawing she had made in elementary school, featuring the family holding hands under a giant tree. "We hold on to these memories for a reason," she murmured. "They remind us of who we are as a family." Jack watched as his mother collected more items, each one lifting the weight that had pressed down on their hearts. It was a simple act, yet it felt monumental. "Maybe it's time we created more memories together," he proposed, glancing at each of them. "How about we start our tradition anew?" Tom, feeling the shift in their collective energy, nodded slowly. "I want to be more present with you all," he said, his tone honest and heartfelt. "You deserve that." With determination, they began placing everything back, restoring not just the frame but the essence of their family. The act of cleaning transformed into a ritual of healing. The air that once felt heavy began to lift, replaced by laughter and shared stories. "What if we plan a family trip?" Lisa suggested, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Somewhere we can reconnect and breathe?" Jack looked around, the idea brightening the atmosphere. "I love that. Let us find a place where we can all relax, maybe a cabin by the lake?
Or a beach."
Emily chimed in, her enthusiasm contagious as she dusted off old memories and dreams. "Yes." Tom's voice rose with excitement. "A little adventure could be just what we need." As they worked, the mood grew lighter. They began recounting the tales behind each photo, sharing laughter that echoed through the room like music. Soon, the shelves were restored, the photos gleaming with their beautiful past. Their future felt suddenly bright, filled with promise. The earlier heaviness no longer lingered as they exchanged glances that spoke volumes of family finding their way back to each other. "Today was a wake-up call," Jack said, finally exhaling deep. "Let us promise to walk this path together. No more hiding." "Agreed," Lisa nodded, tears of joy welling in her eyes. "We'll talk, we'll be open. It's time to embrace everything about us." With heartfelt agreement, they stood together, united, hearts intertwined. Each one felt the weight of burdens shared, worries dissipating in the light of understanding. It was a new dawn, an awakening grounded in love and vulnerability. As they moved to sit together in the living room, Tom couldn't help but feel a profound shift. The echoes of fear were replaced with trust. "I'm proud of us," he said quietly, looking around at his family. "This was only a step, but together we
"Can face anything."
The warmth of their resilience filled the air, wrapping them in a shared embrace of hope. They weren't just building memories, they were constructing the foundation of their future. And as laughter filled the room once more, the last echoes of doubt began to dissipate into the twilight. "Let us make a new tradition, starting now," Emily suggested, bright-eyed. "Agreed. Now, who wants soup?" Lisa asked, a grin lighting her face. As they plunged into their evening, it became clear this family may have faced a storm, but they emerged stronger. Together was more than just a word. It was the promise that wrapped around their hearts like a comforting quilt, bringing warmth to even the coldest nights. They raised their hands in agreement, hearts brimming with love. And for those reading their story, remember, life is messy, but embrace the journey with open arms and willing hearts. Reach out to those you love, and never forget to share the burden together. Don't wait not even 1 second to support our channel. You need to subscribe to catch our next exclusive stories. Liking, sharing, and commenting allows us to grow together. Let's make this community thrive. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and comment your feelings about this transformation. Most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see what it truly means to come together as a family. This is the moment to show your support.